for me personally, I think it wouldn't be such a good idea because I feel physical interaction between like students and lecturers and students are better. Also for me, I think I focus better in a physical setting of a class. Yeah, can interact more, ask the lecturer more questions, and it's like a way to like motivate myself to pay attention during the whole class. So yeah, if it's continue online learning, I don't think there's a 50% chance me of more not paying attention a lot in class. So I don't recommend online learning continuing after the pandemic.
Physical classes are definitely better for me because during online lessons it's not very good for me because I face like the issues like sometimes I don't really get what other lecturers are talking about. Then sometimes like the lecturers just like read through their slides when they're teaching. So it's quite a bad experience for me. Yeah.
Good quality graduates for both, just that both have different skills. So for education graduates, probably they are more tech savvy than traditional education, like physical education graduates, and they might have better research skills than physical learning one because it requires a lot of independent learning, I believe, for those who are attending online lectures now because the lecturers might be very slow in replying their emails, so most of the time we have to research ourselves and resolve the problems ourselves. And on the other hand, for physical education graduates, I think yes, they have experience like how a real exam is like closed book exam, because now we have like open book exams, right? And they have experienced how closed book exams is before, and they've like memorized everything, so maybe they are better at memorizing. Like if you ask those who have attended online education to suddenly sit for a closed book exams, right? I think it might be a bit tough for them to cope with it. Yeah.
With online learning, it's more convenience and being able to be very like comfortable in your own room to study and to like jot down notes, and like you have everything you need because you won't forget things to bring to the lecture or forget to bring your notes. You have like everything, which I would prefer physical classes because just the presence of having everyone in the class with you, it makes it better to like for you to focus and to study properly, and it's just more like has a better feeling studying with your peers and having them with you in the lectures, I feel, which I think will improve your quality of study. And after that, you can even after class discuss with them like what the lecturer has went through. And I feel like with online, you won't really ask as much questions to your friends, and usually after the session is another Zoom session, and you just like move on without really communicating with your friends.
I feel like remote learning, personally for me, it used to be very effective because it was something new for me, right? And then I had to learn a lot about law, specifically a lot more because I had time to actually do research. However, it gets more stressful and stressful semester after semesters, right? Because like right now, we've been having like the third semester online. And then I personally believe that eventually it gets very stressful to me because the workloads kind of get even more. Even like personally, I am from UT Mara, right? So UT Mara actually initially the effective, but it depends because usually it will get more stressful than before.
It is not as much as effective if we were doing physical classes, because firstly we need to have like physical interaction face to face so that we can understand better our syllabus or our topic. And then I think also with this online learning, we usually, not usually, most of the time, we are learning by ourselves alone in the house. So I think we need an environment full with people or our friends so that we can further understand our topic, so that we can discuss together in the library, for example. Yeah, that's all.
Like the challenges I faced when they first introduced online learning, right? So when I was okay, I am not a home person. I used to be only in boarding schools whenever I was in Form 1 until Form 5, right? So even when I entered university, I stayed in the hostel, right? So I don't really have the proper exposure of staying at home. So I had to go through many difficulties. Like at home, I didn't really have a laptop, and I didn't really even have a proper Wi-Fi at home, and then I didn't have computer or any type of accessibility that other people would have, because at my home there are only like people who don't really study, like just my little sister and my brother, right? So I had to challenge like a bit of financial difficulties at that time, because I had to like urgently get a new laptop, get a new Wi-Fi connection, so I can get more sustainability in terms of internet connection. So I believe that there are many people that actually face the same situation as me. So eventually, right, since our parents like eventually understand like what is it online learning.
As I face, and I think a lot of students find difficulty in, is time management, because online learning is quite new for us and it requires intensive work. So I think that this is the most important factor that we should consider for online learning. I think that I've learned to avoid distractions that can affect my learning, because as we know, there are many platforms that can engage us for entertainment and communication, but we should always make sure that we set time for our breaks and focus on learning as scheduled to avoid missing out classes or live sessions. Or we can also create to-do lists. This is something that I've done for the past few semesters. Yeah, and also avoid multitasking. Try to complete one task at a time so it can make our work more productive. That's my opinion.
To keep myself engaged with my lecturer. So for example, for lectures, because normally lectures nobody would answer anything, because it's like in a class of 200 over people in one Google Meet, and I'll try to if my lecturer is asking a question, I'll try to answer, so like to show that I'm paying attention actually, and like I'll show my presence to the lecturer. This is for lectures, but for tutorials I'll ask even more questions, because it's like even more important session to like engage the lecturer and to clarify what I don't understand from the lecture session. So yeah, engaging a lot more with the lecturer in the chat box is what I usually do to keep myself focused and not distracted during online classes.
So for me, right, how do I keep myself engaged is that it's actually quite a challenge for me, because I quite have a lot of 8 a.m. class, and which is a bad attitude because sometimes I slept in. So when I force myself to wake to attend the 8 a.m. class, I usually make sure that I always have something to eat besides, so that I don't fall asleep during the class. And I always make sure that I plan out all my schedules, and I know that I'm actually attending class and actually made out all those necessary notes that I need to make, so that I won't feel left out during the classes, I guess. So yeah, and just like how Farah said, always answers the lectures. I mean, I'm more answering during tutorial class, obviously, but then I think it's really nice for us to keep on engaging in those tutorial or even lecture class when the lecturers are asking us questions, so that we can actually pay more attention to what they are saying, pay more attention to what we are actually learning.
You may discuss with your friends, like those who are near you, and try to brainstorm the answer and everything. Yeah.
For law students, we can like find all the cases, and then for this point we can for this point got a lot of cases, for this point got a lot of cases. So like everything already divided very easily. So during the online exam, I was just like, if this question pops up, then I can use this case, and then use it. So like this is
Problem.
like a small tip from my side.